Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. Today, we are going to discuss about a use case of how you can handle your own data because it's your data. Using that data easily, seamlessly across all the users must be very easy as well. So, what we are going to show is joining the SAP HANA data with other systems. As you are aware, SAP HANA is one of the prominent ERP systems. Most of the supply chain companies use it. And then the problem is integration with other data sources and other data elements. So we are going to show you by using our flagship product ZigmaData how you can use a SAP HANA implementation and then we can use it to connect with other data sources. So the first step is getting SAP HANA installed. As it is a prominent database, a full-fledged version installation requires licensing, procurement, etc. But SAP HANA provides a light version which can be deployed onto any of the environments supported like Ubuntu or Linux, etc. So without much ado, let's log into Amazon EC2, create an Ubuntu instance, and once the instance is created, you can see that it is running, and I have selected an M5 2x large for this particular demo. Once it is created, you're going to log in, making sure that the system is up and running, and then install SAP HANA by a Docker pull. As you can see here, it's the HANA Express edition from SAP is getting installed, and check by running the status there, whether the pull is complete and the installation is done or not, and just do a Docker PS checking whether the HANA Express is running successfully on the instance that you have provisioned. Just check the date. Today is August 7th. Right. Now, a little bit of trick. Rather than opening all the ports on the EC2, which is not a secure way, and if you want to connect ZigmaData from your local machine, you can do a tunneling. And that's what you are seeing here, that I want to connect to 39017 port of the EC2 instance, but I tunnel it from my local host. So whenever I am connecting to localhost 39017, it is directing me to the actual Ubuntu instance, right? It's a good way of making sure that your ports are not opened on an EC2 instance. Now, we have got two files. One is the data, and I'm just taking an example of a company which sells transformers, motors, valves, etc. And I have got a transformer master data as well as a create SQL script, right? And if you are looking at the data, you can see that the data contains the information about the machines, transformer models, etc., etc. That's the data. And the create script is nothing but a way to generate or create that particular table successfully, right? Sorry, I think I will open it. Yeah. So this is the data that is used for creating that particular table, and that is the create transformer master.sql. And transformer master contains all the transformer data, right? So those two elements are getting installed, and as you can see here, to make sure that the Docker has got the access of that, I'm creating a mount and then putting all this data there. And currently we have logged into the EC2 instance, and then within that EC2 instance, we are inside the Docker container, right? Now, once it is there, the SAP HANA provides you something called HDB SQL, all right, HDB SQL, and you can see that I'm just making sure that there is a configuration change to take the data from /HANA/mounts where we kept our data, and then I'm importing that CSV file just we have created a minute ago, and then putting it, and then I'm doing a select count star from the transformer master. As you can see, the name of the table is transformer master, and when I do a select count star, it is giving me all the 1000 rows, which shows that the data has been loaded successfully. And please note that this particular screen is querying the SAP data from SAP itself. Okay. Now the next step is to make sure that the ZigmaData is able to connect to this particular data that is loaded onto the HANA database. For that, make sure that you got the ngDBC, which is the JDBC implementation, to connect to SAP HANA, and I'm making sure that this file is copied into ZigmaData. And then we have got connection properties, which is connecting to HANA. And you see, I have intentionally written here localhost. Why? Because previously we mentioned that we are doing tunneling, so that when I connect to localhost 39017, the request is routed to the actual Amazon EC2 Ubuntu instance where the SAP HANA is running. We give the username and the password, and then we created a connector property to get the data from HANA. And now let's look at the catalogs that are available within HANA using the ZigmaData. And you can see that the HANA is coming as one of the catalogs. And let's now get the tables from HANA.system. And you can see that now the transformer underscore master, the table that were visible from SAP is now visible in ZigmaData. And let's now execute a query to select star from that particular data. Exactly the same data is getting appeared in this system as well, right? So the environment is very simple. Again, a live example of where this particular instance is running. So as you can see here, I have the instance running here with the public IP which is given here, right? And you can see that I am querying from this window. Okay. And now to tell you something very interesting. So this is a query directly from HANA, right? And let's assume that we have got some other system, for example, MinIO, right? And MinIO, I have got some data, which is a CSV file or an Excel file, for example. This is completely different from HANA. But now, for your analytics purposes, you want to join that HANA data with this particular data, right? And again, if you're looking at the catalogs, you can see that I have got a catalog called client1, which is pointing to that particular CSV file which contains the client data. So basically from the ERP system that is within your premises, which is HANA, you are connecting to a separate system in order to do some analytics and making sure that there is a perfect traceability for your supply chain initiatives. So let's run a query, and once I type the query, let me explain you, okay, what this query is all about. So if you can see here, we are querying the HANA data, right? which is the ERP data that is within the premises of the organization. And then we are joining it with the transformer data, the CSV file, which is from client 1. Just now I mentioned to you that client 1 contains the client transformer data that is getting emitted, maybe a real-time emission, and then HANA contains the ERP data. And let's see in action whether it is getting executed or not. It is combining multiple systems, and then it is going to give you a result by doing a parallel querying of the data from both. So now you have joined the HANA data along with another external system data, and you have aggregated it. Great. So embrace ZigmaData for such applications where multiple systems, multiple data sources, you want to aggregate, assimilate, wrangle, massage, and do whatever you want to do with your data. That's all. Thank you for listening. Absolutely a pleasure.